Welcome back to the King Films College Football Playoff Predictions and Rankings show. Before we get started, I want to emphasize that you guys should subscribe to the channel, as only 8.4% of watchers are subscribed to the channel. So go ahead and do that right now. And let's get into it with the bottom 9 for this week 9. As a reminder, the college football playoff rankings start coming out next week. So the version of this video for next week will be on Wednesday morning instead of Sunday evening. So getting into it, we've got BYU at the number 25 spot, coming off 2 straight losses. They were able to defeat Washington State on the road to put them back in the rankings for this week. Number 24, SMU cruised to another win over Tulane on the road on Thursday, and they have a critical showdown with their receiving votes Houston team in my poll. That's a very good Houston team, and the winner of that matchup will certainly be ranked a bit higher than this 24 spot in the week following. Number 23, Texas did not have a game this week, but they will play number 11 Baylor next week in a huge Texas showdown for probably the best Texas team, although the SMU Houston winner might be better based on how both those games go. Arkansas also did not have a game. Iowa State is coming off the great upset of Oklahoma State. Number 20, San Diego State grabbed a huge road win over a great Air Force team. Number 19, Kentucky was also idle, and so was number 18, Auburn. Number 17, Wake Forest was able to grab a high-scoring victory against Army in a mid-season out-of-conference game. And moving to the middle 8, we've got number 16, Penn State, who suffered the shocking loss to Illinois in 9 overtimes. Of course, the 9 overtimes are much easier to get to now, as there's just pretty much the 50-50 chance that both teams have the same result, so there's a bit of an asterisk next to longest game in FBS history, but they have a huge game this week against Ohio State and a great chance to put themselves back on the map. Number 15, Iowa did not have a game. Number 14, Michigan State also did not have a game. Number 13, Pittsburgh moves up past those two teams as a result of their win against Clemson. It was a pretty dominant win. Clemson had all sorts of quarterback troubles, and I'm going to credit the Pitt defense. And this Pitt team, even though they do have the one loss, they are a great team, and I would not be surprised if they were able to win this wide-open ACC. Number 12, Notre Dame grabbed the decisive win over USC, and so they move up a handful of spots this week. And then Baylor is also up big, even though they did not have a game. They will be playing Texas in the aforementioned Texas Showdown this week. Number 10, we've got Texas A&M, who was able to take care of business yet again in the SEC. They're just going to hang around this 10 spot until they can get another decisive win. Obviously, the main thing on their resume is the win over Alabama right now. Number 9, Oklahoma State, down a few spots, but they were undefeated before their loss to Iowa State. They still have the great win against Baylor on their resume, so they will stay highly regarded on these rankings as a result. Top 8, we've got Oregon making their entrance after a great road win against UCLA. Again, Oregon finds a way to almost choke these games, but honestly, I'd rather have a team almost choking the victory away, and their only loss, they did choke against Stanford, than an Oklahoma team that is down the whole time and then has to come back and barely beats these teams. Obviously, Oklahoma's higher rated because they do not have that loss that Oregon does. But let's move on to number 7, Michigan, who has a great showdown against Michigan State in that rivalry game this week. 7 versus 14 matchup. That one should be electric. In our second of 3 straight ranked games, we've got Ohio State against Penn State. We already talked about this one, but Ohio State has been looking sharp on offense, and Penn State I cannot say the same for. There's no excuse to be missing 4 straight 2-point conversions in a row at home. Even though the Illinois defense was pretty good, that's just an unacceptable result for them. And number 5, Ole Miss took care of business against LSU, and they will be playing number 18 Auburn this week. Number 4, Oklahoma obviously got the close win against the Kansas Jayhawks, and that one really did not rub me in the right way. So they drop a spot here. Cincinnati takes advantage, getting up to the 3 spot, and this has nothing to do with their close victory over Navy. Obviously, it's good that they got to the win. You can't even punish them for the close game against Navy, even though, that's an inferior opponent, because by all means, Kansas is a worse team than Navy, and the other teams struggled as well. Alabama obviously was closer than they would have liked at home against Tennessee. We'll get to them later. What Cincinnati's really going up with is that win against Notre Dame. Obviously, Notre Dame only has that one loss, so as long as Notre Dame can stay strong, Cincinnati has a case here, in my opinion. Number 2, Alabama obviously played close with Tennessee, but they don't move as a result. And number 1, Georgia is simply the best team. I'm convinced by now, even if they get the close loss to Florida, they will not move from this position this week. So they're probably locked into the 1 spot, at least for the first committee rankings. But I fully expect them to beat Florida in the world's biggest cocktail party this week. Moving on to the New Year's 6 and College Football Playoff Bowl predictions. We have the same College Football Playoff field as last week. Obviously, Oklahoma, should they be able to win their Big 12 championship game, would be able to hop over Cincinnati, playing probably an SMU team or Houston. So that keeps the games the same, even though Oklahoma was ranked lower in my rankings. Other changes, we have Oklahoma State in the Sugar Bowl now, and the Peach Bowl is the only completely new matchup as Penn State drops out completely, and Pitt will face San Diego State in the Peach Bowl. The Rose Bowl stays the same with Oregon and Michigan. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to comment your predictions and thoughts below.